All right, we are live. This is not the person that people are probably expecting to see. So I am so excited. So for those of you who follow us every week, me and Lindy, we do our fitness update. We've got a challenge going on, and Lindy had a urgent family situation, and so she's not able to make it today. And we've got her and her family in our prayers, and I anticipate that she will be back next week. But what I have done is I have asked my good friend Rose to join us. And Coach Rose, this is the woman who, whenever I mention my fitness goals and the person that I have as like my goal, it is Rose, because when it comes to fitness, you are where I want to be. So so Lindy and we've been doing this challenge now. We're in our third month. And, her and I are very deconditioned. And so we've been doing what we can and slowly increasing the intensity. So we started a bit of a kind of an aerobic challenge this week. I'm doing pretty good as far as, trying to get my heart rate up, and I'm not sure I'm assuming that Lindy had a rough time because it's been a rough, week for her. But anyways, I would love for you to introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about you. And Rose is a carnivore. She has her own carnivore channel. But go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'd love to start talking to you.
Okay. Hi, friends. My name is Rose AJ. I had hit my rock bottom in 2018, shortly before my 51st birthday. I didn't know if I was going to bounce back. So essentially, God told me that I needed to get out of the career that I was in. And I exited that career in 2019, and I cashed in my retirement so that I could take care of myself physically, emotionally, and mentally. And exercise has always been very therapeutic for me. So since I was 20, the endorphins, just the release and all that good stuff has been there. I ventured into the ketogenic way of life in December of 2018, then transitioned to carnivore in January of 2020. And fitness has always been at the top of my game. It's something that I must do, right, in order to remain stable for the most part. Along with the not keto, but along with the carnivore diet and daily practices and continual learning about life. So that keeps me hopeful.
And that's something I know, and Lindy and I have talked about this, but the whole, like last week, the whole issue with one of my issues is that I've never been where you're at with feeling that great rush of endorphins or that great sense of wellness with exercise, because I've had so much exercise intolerance over my adult life. So do you think that we can get there? I mean, what is it going to take to get there for us, for people like us?
So, Lynn, I have to be candid with my highs and lows. My highest that I recorded was 300 pounds, but I might have been heavier than that. So I started my exercise at a time in my life where I was extremely large. And even though I yo-yo dieted, it was between 280 and 300. So I was a large person doing this. But yes, I think you can get there, right? So you wouldn't have to go to the extremes that I did, right? Because I was obsessive. It was another addiction. But the fact that you are working on making fitness or exercise a part of your daily or weekly protocol, however you guys are doing it, I think you will get to the level that you want to get to with time and persistence. Yes.
Yeah. I think that we've talked about the consistency element of it. And we watched a little video about building habits and how there really isn't a specific time frame that it takes people to build habits. It really does vary. And it's okay to miss days as long as you pick back up and you can just continue. You don't quit.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you do for fitness?
So I want to just pick up on that for just a little bit. When you say
Okay.
missed days and all that good stuff, so how you exercise or how you do life, your active life, is solely up to you, right? It's really
Mm,
up to you. And so, whatever standards you set for yourself, do it with compassion. So, if it's 2 days a week that you want to move, intentional movement, honor that. But if you are not able to meet that for one reason or another, be compassionate, right? And then just
I
begin
love
it
that.
again the next week and the next week. But if you set it against society standards or even mine or your trainer standards, you might miss the mark every single time. That's why it's very
Mm,
important for everything to be individualized for where the person's currently at. And even though they want to go, say, a mile, just to do it in a tenth of a mile increments versus a half or a quarter of a mile. Make it very
yeah,
attainable.
that's
Yeah.
really good advice. Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I know I have a tendency to feel disappointed in myself when I don't meet certain goals or promises that I make to myself. And sometimes I don't know if I'm making unrealistic goals or setting unrealistic expectations for myself. And, I guess I look at people who have this really consistent exercise
Mhm.
schedule and I feel like I need to be there. And that's what it's going to take for me to get to the level of fitness that I want to be at. And when I'm listening to you, I'm hearing you don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that because we can sabotage our progress. We're
Mm,
the only ones who can sabotage our progress, right? So, because you want to reach a certain goal, or whether it's 3 times a week, 2 times a week, whatever you and Lindy are doing, it has to be realistic for you.
okay.
So, the mark that you missed this week, this month, isn't necessarily going to be the same mark that you miss next month. So I set up daily goals for myself in regards to fitness. And even though I'm seasoned at this since I was 20 years old, I still miss the mark every week. And I go, oh,
Mm.
well, and just keep
Oh,
on keeping
I
on.
love it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so so you decide what you want to do that day, or do you decide what you want to do the next day?
So I pretty much have an outline of what I do on a routine for the week, right?
Okay.
So if I do my 2 to 3 hours of weight training per week total, great. If I don't, that's great too. I
Mhm.
mean, literally, it is. So, and I always like to build in micro workouts throughout the day because as we get older, we must stay as mobile as possible.
Mm.
I think you, me, and the next person would love to sit in the chair, read a good book, or watch TV. But I have to be mindful that even though I'm active in a 2 hour block of time in a day, that still does not excuse me from moving throughout the rest of my day, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So how would you define a micro workout?
So for me, a micro workout is like I have a home gym, a treadmill, a stepper, a rower, walking pad and weights, right? So for me, a micro workout is very intentional movement after I have my 1 meal a day, because that's when I'm going to be my most sluggish and just want to chill and stay with Netflix for a while. But
Okay.
I get on the treadmill for 30 minutes and I watch something on YouTube. So it can be at 3 miles an hour if I'm feeling particularly tired, 2.5 miles an hour. For 30 minutes, I move. So, and then I just deposit those, or I'll go for a walk, but I just deposit those intentional movements every day.
Okay. So for
Yeah.
some people, the 30 minutes of exercise is more maybe the max that they would get in one day. Is for people that are like that, which is probably more where I am, would it be beneficial to do a micro workout that's even 2, 3 minutes?
So, so Lindy, let me ask you, what would be your overall goal of movement? And I say movement because exercise can be a little intimidating or a little bit too structured for people.
Mm.
So your movement, like gardening, walking the dog, cleaning the house, whatever you like to do, dancing in the kitchen. What would your workout be?
Oh boy. You know, for me, I have a mental barrier when it comes to workout, and it stems back into my childhood. And I know it's because of messaging I got from my mother. And she was always incredibly active, but she put down people who purposefully exercised. And I would listen to her. And this was late 70s, early 80s. The fitness craze was kind of just getting started. You know, people were starting to purposely exercise because we were becoming more and more sedentary in our lifestyle, right? So people would start to go out jogging or do aerobics and she would call people fitness exercise nuts and criticize them. And so I got this negative emotion around it. So, hey, good to have you here. Um, and so for me, I feel like I would love to overcome that psychological barrier so that I don't have a negative thought associated with purposeful exercise. I think for me then, if I could overcome that, it would be less important what type of exercise it was. I would be able to say, okay, well, for where I'm at, and I'm also 56 like you, and for me, it would be like, what would be a good exercise for me, a 56-year-old woman, that would help me be the healthiest that I can be? I know I don't have to be out there running a marathon. Maybe it's doing some resistance training, maybe it's doing a 5K walk, you know, and of course I love geocaching. So it's getting out and doing more geocaching. It's that mental thing for me. That's the biggest barrier to overcome.
So, Lindy, I am so glad that you brought up childhood and you made the connection, right? Because the connection to negative comments, or what we perceived as negative comments growing up, they stick with us throughout our lifetime. But I always tell people that you can begin again any day and you can retell your story over and over and over and only extract from the past what you choose to bring with you to make it as factual for you today as possible. And I have some issues from the past as well. And
Mhm.
when it comes to fitness, I was never really chosen, if you know what I'm saying, because I was the wild child. I was better at running my mouth than actual sports. And I remember being in the third grade, Lindy, being in the third grade, and I
And
used
you
to,
keep calling me Lindy.
oh, I'm sorry, Lynn, because I'm thinking of Lindy being on
I
here.
know we got Lindy on our minds.
Okay, Miss Lynn, midlife carnivore. I'm
I
sorry
know
about that.
you know me.
Okay,
I'm
Lynn.
just over here laughing.
But I remember being in the third grade, loving to run. I mean, just with just run, run, run. So I was on the track team, right? You know how they have
Mm.
field day, you're on the track team and stuff. And I remember just running like crazy and having the greatest time in my life. But there were so many kids there that had their family members there, but I was the only one that didn't have
Mm.
someone in the stands rooting for me or take me around to the different events and stuff. So that stuck with me too. But as far as exercise and messaging, you can reprogram yourself, because
Okay.
at 56, 57, 58, you have to realize that you have the capability to override that, because you want to be where you're at today and you want to go further, right? You want to go further than where you're at now.
Absolutely.
So if you're able to walk 2 miles today, you might want to be able to walk 3 miles next year. So in order to do that, you have to feed yourself those positive thoughts,
Mhm.
podcasts, teaming up with someone like Lindy and making a commitment to each other to carry through until it becomes habitual. Do you know what length of time it actually takes to build a habit? Do you know what
The
the
video that
statistics
we
are?
watched said it
Mhm,
could be anywhere. I forget the lower end number. I forget the exact numbers, but it was
mhm,
a very large, like they took
mhm.
the average of all these people that they were studying, and it was from somewhere in the double digits to like almost 300 days.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what I'm going to tell you, Lindy. I think the standard is about 66 days, somewhere up in there, if that sounds
Mhm.
familiar, somewhere around there, right? But I always say, don't worry about breaking bad habits. Focus on building the new habit, right? Because it's
Mhm.
going to take a lot of energy to stop doing what you don't want to do, but it's going to take the same amount of energy to build a new habit, right? So building new habits takes as long as it takes for the person.
Okay.
For me, the new habit I'm going to share with you of no longer being a coffee connoisseur became immediate when I made the commitment this time around to
Mm.
no longer consume coffee, right? So I'm building the habit of no longer drinking coffee because I made that commitment to myself. It takes as long as it takes. It can take a day, it can take 66 or 12 months. But the thing is, you never give up. You never give
Yeah.
up. You just keep going.
Well, that's one thing about myself over the years is that even though like, and I don't really look at it with exercise, but with diet, I failed so many times, but I kept trying something new. And so I feel like I have that in me. I have that ability to just try again and try again and try again. And eventually with diet, it has worked. And right. So
Yes.
that gives me some hope that it can work with exercise too. And because the diet has become second nature now.
And you've been in over a year now, right? Just
Yeah,
over
I've
a
been in,
year.
going on 15 months as a
So,
carnivore. So yeah, so now it's like I don't even have to think about it.
and it will
It
become that way too with exercise. But can I just, I know you didn't ask for this advice, but can I just put it out there?
Bring it on. Yes.
So, as far as fitness, what's your primary focus and goal right now? Is it to increase your cardiovascular endurance, or is it to, strength train, or is it to stretch? Is it meditation? What modality are you most concerned with?
Oh boy, narrowing it down to one. Like I think in my mind, I think of all the areas that I need to work on. Um, Stamina has been the key word that keeps coming to my mind because of the fact that I had so much exercise intolerance. And so maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be the intensity. So maybe walking and being able to walk longer. Um, so I guess motivation and stamina are probably the two things. And I figure that if I can get the motivation piece taken care of and start building up my stamina, then I'll be more open to trying all different kinds of exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned geocaching, right? And
Mhm.
you're out there longer because you do that. You're able to walk longer because you have something to distract you or something that you're
It's a
engaged in.
treasure hunt.
Okay, treasure
Yeah.
hunt. So
Yes.
can you
So
break it down for me real quick? Because I
pardon me?
think can you break down what geocaching is for me real quick? I think I remember, but I don't.
Yeah. So there's an app on your phone that you can download, and I actually do the paid version, but there's a free version, and there's over like 3 million or more, probably more than that now, physical caches that people hide out there, and he uses the GPS through the app to you go find them. And so you pull up the map on your phone, it tells you where they all are. You pick one you want to go look for and you go find it. And people they're either little containers, there's all different sizes, but it's like a little treasure hunt and there's an actual physical item that you're looking for. And so your GPS will take you within like 20 feet of it, and then you got to go find it. And then there's a little log inside of each one, and sometimes there's little trinkets and treasures and stuff in there. But my husband and I enjoy doing it. We don't do it enough. But I have found one cool thing about geocaching is that because local people hide these, they will hide them in places that they know about that are really great places to go and see that you would probably never go
Okay.
otherwise. And
Okay.
yeah, so it has taken me like hiking places that I wouldn't have
Mhm.
even known about. And it's kind of, if you're not just finding the little treasure, you're also discovering things in the environment that are beautiful and really cool. So, it's
Okay.
fun.
That
It's so
sounds
fun.
actually exciting. I mean,
Mhm,
exciting. It's something that you're in pursuit of. And do you
mhm.
find what you're looking for every time that you're out doing this?
Most of the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Most of the
especially
time.
when I have my husband with me, because sometimes he's really good at finding them and sometimes I'm good at finding them. So together we can usually find them. There have been some where we've gone back multiple times before we actually found them. They were a little bit
Okay.
tricky, pretty tricky, but yeah, but I find that because I'm searching for it, I will walk faster, not fast, well, not faster, sometimes faster, but farther
Okay.
because I have a reason.
Right. Okay. So what got you interested in this? Were you introduced to this or had you always known about it? Did you find out through a
No,
friend?
I found it when I was searching for activities. I had just kind of done a search for like because I grandkids coming up and thought I let's see if what's fun to do with kids
Mhm,
in the
mhm.
Seattle area. And it was one of the things listed. And I'm like, I never heard of this before. So that's how I learned about it. And it turns out the international headquarters are, and you'll know where this is, Fremont, which is just north of Seattle, right?
There we go.
International
Okay.
headquarters are there. So this Seattle general area is huge. People come from all over the world to come to the headquarters, and there's conventions, and yeah, it's pretty. I learned it's huge, but it's everywhere.
Well, Lindy, because of your enthusiasm and excitement in doing that, are there like teams that are out there doing this? Like when I was training a lot for races and stuff, there were actual teams, running groups. Are there cache,
Cache,
what is
yeah,
it,
geocaching. Yeah,
groups
yeah,
that you
you
can
can get
join?
involved. You can get involved in groups. Josephine says you did it years ago. So much fun. She said, I was even going to get a tattoo of one so people could try to find me. I love that is hilarious.
Oh my
You can get
goodness.
you can get a scan. There's things you can get that you can scan. There's like bumper
Mhm.
stickers that you can put on your car, and people can scan them when they see it and log the cache. So I know what you mean by the tattoo. That's hilarious.
So would you consider like heading a team or something like that and meeting friends this way, like we do on
Mhm.
meetups and stuff? And maybe
Yeah.
that will encourage you to, do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm part of a Facebook group that's for women over 50 for my county. And I actually, and I'm glad you're bringing this up because this is resurrecting my memory. So last year, I had actually scheduled a geocaching event through there. And then there was a lot of women who said, yeah, and then it got to be winter. And they said, well, let us know when you're going to do another one. And I have got let the whole summer go by and I haven't actually scheduled an event. So you're inspiring me to get in there and do that.
It's not too late.
No, oh no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah,
It's been great. The weather's, overcast, but it's
yeah,
not pouring down rain.
yeah. And even if it were, you could still do it.
Mhm.
You could still do it.
That's
So,
true.
so what I've heard you say, Lynn, is that your first focus is really on building endurance
Mhm.
and that you're using walking and geocaching as a start. But when our weather changes in the fall, what are your plans then?
So I have my rebounder, and then Lindy and I are doing, these videos that you can do in your home, and it's basically kind of light aerobic is.
Mhm.
And the ones we're doing now that with this challenge have a little more arm movement. Like our one that we did last month, it was a pretty low impact, very fun, pretty low impact. So now we're doing one where you get more lifting the legs, moving the arms. So we're just ramping up the intensity a little bit, but you can do it in your home, so you don't have to worry about what the weather is.
Okay.
And
And
I do have, exercise bands, we've got weights, we've got a weight bench that my husband uses as a
mhm,
bookcase,
yeah,
and
yeah, I picked that up. Okay. Okay. So multi-purpose. It's being used for multi-purpose reasons.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
yes, at this point it is. We
Okay.
have the thing where we have great intentions, and so we buy the weight bench, and we get the weights and all the bands, and then we enjoy looking at them.
Yes. Okay, let me ask you, you have equipment that you can use Tell me, why do you think that you're not using them in the way that you planned when you initially purchased them?
Oh, good question. Um, it's it's not that it doesn't come to my mind because it does. I think that in the area of exercise, I struggle to push myself outside my comfort zone. And my comfort zone for so long has been being sedentary.
So if it's being sedentary and you're in this public space having this conversation, you're reaching out to Lindy to do these challenges. So you're finding a way to help yourself. So can I help you to help yourself with the equipment that you already have?
Yeah, definitely.
Can you pick out one exercise that you can commit to 3 times a week? Be it bicep curls that you just do 3 times a week, or just stretching for 3 minutes 3 times a week. Commit
Yeah.
to a very small task that you know you can do and see
Yeah.
what comes out of that.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. I can grab like one of my resistance bands and maybe do some bicep curls and just start there.
Yeah.
And, does it matter how many I do?
No. So I would even say if you're comfortable with doing 3 minutes while you're watching TV on
Mhm.
commercials, do that. Or if you want a specific set, like 3 sets of 12, whatever you choose to do.
Mhm.
The thing is that you're creating and building a new habit,
Mhm.
right? You're
Yeah.
making a promise to yourself and you're keeping that commitment to yourself. And the thing is, motivation. What's your thoughts on motivation? Because I heard you mention that a few minutes ago when we started talking about this. What does motivation mean to you?
Well, I would like it to be something that is more my default mindset, and it isn't at this point. Um, my default mindset has been more of a lack of motivation. Like when
Mm,
the thought of exercise comes to my mind, my default is to push it out of my mind instead of going, oh, it's coming to my mind. So obviously, my brain is telling me to get up and do this and to be excited about it. And, I'm not, I need to shift how I'm responding to the thought when it comes into my mind because I'm not one of these people that never thinks about it. I do.
mm.
It's just I go, "Oh, nice thought. Okay, I'm gonna go back to what I was doing."
Okay, so let me share with you my thoughts on motivation. It's great. It's great when motivation chooses to show up. When it
Mhm,
shows up, it's awesome. Sometimes it's those external motivators like us having this conversation and you making a commitment for the next week for 3 minutes of doing whatever you want to do. That's motivating, right? It can
mhm.
help you, but the motivation of showing up at a class, that's great too. But ultimately, it's up to us. I'm not always motivated to work out. It's kind of like if I'm not at the gym at a certain time at the top of my morning before it gets started, it kind of wanes.
Mm,
So, do you know what I mean? But I
yeah.
know that I still have to do it because I said that I was going to do it and it's a part of my
Mhm,
healthcare plan. So the
mhm.
motivation isn't always there. It isn't always there. You just
Yeah,
have to do what you said you were going to do.
yeah.
And then the
And
motivation shows up while you're doing it.
you know what? That is so true, and I think glad you brought that point up because you're right. The motivation often comes after the action. It's not the other way around. And so sometimes it's just a matter of starting. And
Mhm.
I have
Mhm.
found that to be true.
Yes.
If I can just so I don't know if maybe for me my strategy needs to be I don't need to pressure myself to do a specific amount of time, a specific and whether by that but just start,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, and the motivation will come
Yeah.
because you're right, it's I'm not gonna be sitting in my recliner and all of a sudden have this crazy motivation to get up and start exercising.
Right. And the thing is, Lindy, if you were heavier than you are right now at one point or for years in your life, you know how it feels to be incapacitated and with
Oh, yeah.
limited mobility due to weight or health conditions, right?
Oh, yeah. And
So,
getting injured
yeah,
easily.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're on the flip side of that,
Yeah.
right? And you want to be investing in today and in your future because I don't think you and I want to be in an old folks' home anytime soon, right?
No. And
So this
honestly,
is preventative. It's
that
preventative.
is that
It's
is a big
insurance.
motivator. It is a huge motivator for me because
Mhm.
a year ago, I was the person who was basically, limping around and in pain and crippled. I was getting better because I'd been on carnivore for a couple months, but I was still not capable of exercising at that point.
Mhm.
You know, it took me
Yeah.
about maybe 5 months or so being on carnivore before I felt like, okay, I can actually too much I needed to do so much healing.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I didn't exercise at all. And so the fact that now I'm actually like open and working on this
Yes.
is a massive, massive victory for me.
A massive win that's gonna
Yes.
keep going and going and going.
Yes. And which is why I am fighting through all of these mental obstacles that I have
Yes.
because I know that in the end it's going to be worth it. And,
But
but I'm
is
not
there ever an end, Lindy? Let me ask you, is there ever an end? In the end, what do you
I
mean by
don't
that,
believe
Lindy?
so.
No.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
when I say in the end,
Okay.
I mean when I finally get there to mentally,
Okay.
to where I have the mindset or at least also not necessarily always the mindset, but the strategies, the mental strategies to combat it when I get those unmotivated feelings
Yeah.
and to be able to actually understand what's going to get me over the hump and get me up and moving regardless of whether I feel the motivation or not. And to me, I will feel like I've accomplished so much when I get to that point.
Is there a specific time of day that you like to move, incorporate movement?
Unfortunately, it's really late at night, which is the
Okay.
not a good time because I'm supposed to be going to bed.
Well, I mean, is that when you're most motivated? Is that when you're like, "Gosh darn it, before the clock strikes 12, I need to do these 10 minutes?"
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, because then it's after if it goes longer, it's no longer today.
right.
So, it's like I wanna have a goal, like, I'll have a goal, I wanna exercise today, and then I'll push it as far out in today until I finally am like, "If I don't do this now, it is no longer gonna be today."
So then, Lindy, I would say keep that pattern going because it's motivating you in some
Okay.
kind of way. If it doesn't disrupt your sleep, I can exercise until I fall into bed. It's no big deal. But if
Mm,
it does wake you up too much to where you can't sleep, then I would say do a different strategy. But if you use towards the end of the day, 11:59 p.m., it's no longer today once the clock strikes 12. If that's your motivator and you can get in whatever you said you were going to do for that day,
mhm.
keep it for that day. Keep it. And then
Okay.
eventually, you, girl, eventually you'll be like, I'm too old for this stuff. Let me just do it at the top of the morning. You know what I mean? So go
Yes.
with the energy that you have. Honor
Yeah.
that. Honor
Okay.
that. Yeah.
I can absolutely keep doing that, and because yeah,
Mhm.
you're right, that is what's motivating me, and honestly, it's because I'm doing this weekly check-in with Lindy that I know I've made a verbal commitment that I'm gonna do this, and so she's great in that she always says, "Yeah, I like to do it first thing in the morning," and that works for her, and I keep thinking, "Oh, man, I really need to start doing it first thing in the morning. My day would probably be so good," but I'm not there yet mentally, you know.
But you are at the point where you're willing to keep your commitment that you've made
Yes.
to Lindy for these weekly check-ins and do it within that 24-hour window. It doesn't matter if it's 11:59
Yeah.
p.m. when you finish. So
Yeah.
use that. Use that. Go with it, girlfriend. Go with it. You
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So basically, I guess I shouldn't be beating myself up over it.
No, you should not. Any progress is progress. It really
Mhm.
is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can definitely do that. And the the aerobic exercise in the home is, I think, even though I'd love to do a geocaching, and I will, I think that having such a simple thing to do that I can just turn it on, put it on the TV and do it, it's that's good because it's not taking any effort really. It's
Yeah.
just like I don't have to organize an event.
Yeah.
I don't have to coordinate with other people. I can just do it.
Right.
And yeah, and it's easy. And and eventually too, I mean, I think that doing the resistance bands is also going to help me too with working towards another goal, because it's not just the stamina. And I know I talked about there's like a long list of things that I need to improve on, and tone is definitely one of those things with my muscle tone.
Yes.
And I mean, I've lost 102 pounds, and so
Get it.
there's there's some looseness going on,
Yes. Yes. You are amazing. Amazing girl. Amazing.
Well, I mean, it's definitely nothing like Lindy. She's lost over 500 pounds, but
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
have as much to lose. So for me, it's great. And I probably got another 50 to go. Um, but so I'm starting to actually, like, I'm looking at things going, okay, I'd like to firm things up a little bit.
Mhm. Mm.
And I mean, I don't need to be buff, but
Oh,
yeah,
girl, buff is in
I
like
love to be
sin.
buff. If I thought I could be buff, I definitely would love that. But my first step is to just at least start to build some tone,
Mhm,
you
mhm,
know?
and you can start with your band, start with whatever you have and however you can start, right?
Yeah.
And I was gonna ask something and I just completely forgot. Oh, I was gonna say the stretch lab that we were talking about in Healing Humanity. So I
Yes.
have to be honest, anything that's new that I haven't heard of, I'm the first to Google it, figure it out. So can you tell us about that, Lindy? And then I'll tell you what I did.
Yes. So, okay, so I got an on my YouTube feed, I kept getting this advertisement for this stretch lab. And was very intrigued by it, and I finally clicked on it and just got a little bit of information about like what it is. And I'm assuming that the people that work there are physical therapists, but they call them flexologists. I went on Wednesday and had my first appointment, and basically they they start with doing this body scan, and they have you like put your arms straight up in the air and then do 3 consecutive squats, and you follow the little person on the screen, and what the scan does is it's measuring your movement. It'll show any muscle areas of muscle tightness, and then the person stretches you. You go, and I like literally, like, you lay on this table and they stretch you. I got stretched in ways that I didn't even know were stretches that you could do. I mean, they can isolate the specific muscles like I have never seen. I learned that, I mean, I knew that I had problems with lower back, hips, but one thing that it showed is that my movement is what they call a zipper movement. And like when I do the squat, like he said, I think it was my right hip engages first. And then he said it kind of sends a signal to your brain that it's safe for then the other side to engage. So like my right hip engages, then my left hip, then it works its way down my body instead of everything symmetrically engaging at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
And I know it's because of past injuries. in compensating. I sprained one of my ankles really badly 3 times. I had a jarring injury. I have a degenerated disc in my lower back. And I've had whiplash from a car accident. I had a herniated disc in my neck. That's doing much better, but my lower body needed a lot of work. So it's not cheap to go, but I'm
Well,
going to go back.
well, you said
And
it's not cheap. Give us the dibs. You can't just stop there, girl.
yeah. So, and they do take United Healthcare, not United Healthcare insurance. That's the only one that they take. And they said that some other insurance will reimburse you if you pay in advance. But for twice a week, 50 minutes each time for the month, it's about $650.
Girl, they won't be getting my business.
Yeah. It's not cheap. I mean, it's physical therapy. So
Yeah.
but I'm going to do it because, yeah. Hi, Deb. Good to see you here. I'm gonna do it. I talked to my husband. He's supportive because I know it was really interesting to see how my body, the whole zipper movement and all the asymmetry of my movement. And they said they can correct that.
So,
And I know that I'm going to be able to do more without injuring myself if I can get the symmetry back and get the balance and the flexibility that I need.
so Lynn, I'm hearing you say that you're going to go twice a week for a month, every month. So eight times a month.
It's probably going to be a few months. Yeah.
So 8 times a month.
Mhm.
You're going to be working on this. So then that could probably be your main fitness focus, along with what you and Lindy are doing, other
Mm.
than stepping it up and doing other things. Because
Yeah.
that sounds like it's going to be very taxing when you go and have these stretches and
Yeah.
adjustments and stuff like
I was
that.
a little sore, and it
Yeah.
was a good sore. It wasn't a
Okay.
bad sore, and they didn't do anything to hurt me. It was good, and they sent me home with exercises, with stretches to do. So
Okay.
I definitely, and he didn't say I had to do them every day. He said, after the third day, you've lost the benefit of the stretch, so you need to do it like every couple of days. So, yeah.
Okay. So I looked them up, Lindy. Thank you. I'm sorry. Lynn. I called you Lindy.
You're gonna watch the replay. You've been calling me Lindy the whole time.
Okay, Lynn. So because
It's
of your
funny.
post and stuff like that, I went in and I looked. I go, oh, there's one like 10 miles from me. I'll go ahead and sign up and see what they're talking about. So of course they send you promotions, right? Your
Yeah.
first visit is like $50.
It was like
So
$59 for the
yeah,
first visit. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna go in and do that. But now that I've got the inside scoop, if they don't take my insurance, I won't be, you know.
Yeah.
But I just want
If you
to
don't
know what it's about. Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have United Healthcare, you just need to call your insurance company and find out if they'll reimburse you. They
Okay.
did say that there's a decent amount of insurance companies that will reimburse. So you may like have to pay up front, but you can, get some back. So I have still haven't called my insurance company yet to find out if they'll reimburse me, but my husband said it's okay to do it because it's going to be for my health. So
Yeah.
here's the nice thing about him having an airplane
Mhm.
is that whenever I want to spend money on something, it's a pretty easy sell
Okay. Okay. It's a win-win.
because he spends money on the airplane and so
Yeah. Can I interject in here just real quick? I know we've been talking about exercise for like the last 40 minutes or so,
yeah.
right? Exercise or fitness or movement, however you want to classify it or say it, it's imperative for all humans to move. Even if we're in a wheelchair, even if we're limited to a walker or just our home, right? We need to be able to move. It's for our mental health, it's for our physical mobility, it's for strength, it's for everything. And for me, it can be very spiritual at times, depending on the exercise and the intensity. And I want to say that if you are a carnivore, male, female, regardless of your age, you do not have to exercise in order to lose weight. You will make
Right.
progress on carnivore with or without exercise. but I'm just wanting to express that it's good for so many other things than weight loss. Because in the long run, like you were talking about, Lynn, in the long run, the investment really is in the everyday practice, right? Getting to a whole new level. But it has very little to do with weight loss and weight maintenance. So
You're
thank you.
right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that is very true. And that is something that goes against the messaging that we have gotten our whole life, right? And I hear so many times people and myself experience, if I brought up, first of all, the doctor usually wouldn't bring up my weight as a health issue, even though when I was 350 pounds, which to me is crazy, but I guess they're too afraid of triggering people. But if I brought it up, it was diet and exercise. That was the solution is, calorie restriction, and increase your exercise. And that never worked.
And I'm going to be the first person to say that it does not work, because having exercised obsessively since I was 20 years old, when I did the whole calories in, calories out, I was just obsessed with all that. In my younger years, it did balance out, but it wasn't because of the calories in, calories out. I could not outrun a bad diet. And I ran plenty of miles every week, before work, after work, ran races, did everything. And it eventually caught up with me, right? It was the diet all
Mhm.
along.
Yeah.
So you can't outrun a bad diet. You can't. There's no way. It will
Yeah.
eventually catch up with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, over exercising defeats the purpose of exercising. So please don't do it. Please don't.
Yeah. I don't even remotely, I'm not even close to over exercising at this point. If I ever get to that point, that's gonna be incredible. But I understand it's over exercising, that could be an indicator like for you, that could be an indicator that it's becoming an obsession. And I think so many of us, like I turned to food and some people turn to exercise, it's not always a healthy coping, right?
Well, well, Lindy, even even healthy habits or healthy practices can become addictions, because I always tell people that I have an addict brain, right? It's a brain disease. Addiction is a
Right.
brain disease. So there's one addiction that will always take the lead. And for me, it's food. It will always be food, right?
Mhm.
It's in remission right now because of the way I'm eating. But if I change my dietary protocol, then it's likely to resurface. The same with exercise. I went overboard, and it was a pure addiction. So I
Yeah.
can tell you, years ago, maybe about 18 years ago, we were going to take a family trip to Hawaii. I was so obsessed. I had gotten drunk the night before, Lynn. Gotten drunk, well, a little tipsy, drunk the night before. Because we were leaving at a certain time, I had to get my 5 miles in because of my training plan before we left. So I was up like at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to get these miles in on the treadmill, shower, change, go to the airport. So now, if you presented me with a training plan and I needed to do 5 miles, I'd be like, girl, bye, bye. I just won't make those miles. I ran through injuries. I did everything through injuries. But what I didn't
Mhm.
realize then was it was an obsession. It
Yeah.
was, even though it was very painful, it was endorphins and relief that I got from it. But if I would have just set my hiney down and dealt with what was going on inside, I would have came out so much better on the other end, right?
Yeah.
So just like anything, it can become a compulsion session, but please
Yeah.
don't let it work that way for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very good advice. Awesome. Well, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, and then I'll go.
Oh, I was just going to share too. We got a comment here from Josephine. I finally got my laptop connected to TV. Can't wait to get into moving more, as I find the days I do move a lot, I feel not as sore. It's a little weird how that works.
The more you move, the more you groove, girl. You're lubricated.
And is that it? It's just that
Yeah,
joint lubrication?
yeah,
'Cause
you just keep it moving. You don't get stiff. I mean, the delayed onset, you know, soreness, it's going to be there initially, right? The first couple of times. But if you keep it going, that kind of fades into the background.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because when you've been dealing with a lot of body pain, the thought of moving, it just, our brains kinda go, "Well, why would I wanna move more when I'm in pain and it hurts?" But you're right. I mean, I remember when I first it was like I said, it was about 5 months into my carnivore journey where I started to exercise. It was not comfortable at all. I was in a lot of pain, and I set a goal to just walk around my block, which was about a quarter of a mile, and I was limping, and I was gimpy and hurting. I couldn't even walk a straight line. I probably looked like I was drunk, and I tweak my knee usually halfway through, but I tried to maybe every other day, and sometimes it was every day, do it, and it did get better,
So,
you know?
what kept you going during that phase? What kept you going, even though you were limping, gimping? What kept you going?
I had honestly, it was a viewer on my channel. I never see him anymore, but it was one of my early I mean, I had a dinky little channel back then, and my channel's still not huge, but it was really small back then, and he really encouraged me, and it meant it was because I was so new with having YouTube, it really blew me away. I was still learning how amazingly supportive the carnivore community is, and it just was motivating to have someone to just tell me you can do it, and he just said you need to be doing this. Like he really did. He says, "I can tell you're not exercising." And he said, "Just do what you can." And so I did.
Right on. So, do you think an occasional text or occasional nudge from me or somebody else in the universe to say, keep it going, Lynn, will help
Yeah.
you keep
Yeah.
going?
And
Yeah.
I've joined the your fitness group on our Healing Humanity Life site.
Yay.
So, okay, so I'll just kind of do a little plug here for Healing Humanity. So we have a new membership site called healinghumanity.life, and it's in the testing phase. So it's not like SEO optimized yet. So like it's harder to find if you search for it. Where that's kind of on purpose because we are
Mhm.
in the testing phase. But Rose is the moderator of our fitness group. And
Yeah.
so I am really looking forward to really diving in and utilizing, that group and getting support off of that group. I think that's going to be really helpful.
Well, can I tell you, Lindy, Lynn, she is on my mind so hard
Got
tonight. I
Lindy
don't know
on a
why.
mind.
I
Yes.
need to text her or reach out to her because, yeah, I just need to say, hey, girl, to get her off my mind for a minute.
She's going to
But
watch and she's going to watch this later. She's going to be laughing.
the whole time, I'm sure. So, what I'm most excited about for the Healing Humanity for Life is that it's a platform that welcomes everyone. And from what I've seen so far, even though it's in the beta testing phase, everybody has such good stories, good comments, everything. They're sharing everything, you guys. And I'm just honored to the point of tears to be a part of this. And fitness comes naturally for me, and I love it. And to have that segment to hone in on and help encourage people, I'm just honored to be a part of that. So I want to say thank you. And y'all, look out, look out. It's going to be a beautiful
I
thing.
love it. I
Beautiful
love it.
thing.
I'm so excited that you are going to do this for us and help us build this part of the website because it's a
Yeah.
key thing. I mean, it's like, yes, we're talking about the proper human diet, but we are promoting every area of health, and health is not just what you eat, it is movement. Movement is really important. Yes, absolutely.
So what
That's
else
right.
would
Whole
you
new
say
life.
is a part of the carnivore lifestyle that you've embraced? But you're a spiritual person as well. I'm a believer as well. So
Mhm.
would you say that that's for you a very big part of believing in the carnivore way of life, as well as your future fitness goals or movement goals?
Oh, you mean this my spiritual life?
Do you think it's helping you to stay in the game?
Well, I think it is because when you have a relationship with God and that's part of your life, you think about what he wants for you, what your
Mhm,
purpose is. And when your health is getting in the way of you being used and being, fulfilling that purpose, you're not really can't really be wholly who you're supposed to be. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think that part of it, and for, those of us who are believers, I think it's really important to realize that we're getting healthy not just for ourselves. And sometimes it's being a servant to other people. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a missionary in some foreign country. Sometimes your ministry is to people here and in the whatever opportunities come before you. And it doesn't have to be, a spiritual ministry. It can be a ministry of encouragement, which like is I feel really that you have a real ministry of encouragement. And I'm glad you brought up the spiritual part because we are not just our bodies. You know, that is a key part of us.
So, guys, I have to tell you, thank you, Miss Lynn. My dog is pacing around. My husband has let her go wherever. I thought she was blocked off, so you might hear her nails and a bark. So I apologize for that.
That's okay. That's
So,
okay.
oh,
Yeah, lazy and
laziness.
glut yeah, the Bible says laziness and gluttony are sin. That is true.
Can I share with you, Lynn, and your audience, 75 Hard, what I wanted to talk about for a little bit, the 75 Hard challenge
Yes.
versus the softer challenge that I hope to introduce in the future into the fitness group that can accommodate everyone.
Yes,
Because,
absolutely.
okay, so the 75 Hard challenge rules, I think it's Andy Frisella who brought this out years and years ago. And it's a free challenge that you can Google online and join different groups, right?
Can you
So it
spell
has,
his name? Can you spell his name for
I
me so
want
I
to
can put it
say, I want to say it's Andy Frisella, Frisella, if I remember correctly.
okay, and
But
it's a 75 hard challenge.
uh-huh. So essentially, it's 5 rules. You follow a nutrition plan that you pick out. So choose a healthy diet that you deem healthy, regardless of what it is, and don't allow alcohol or cheat meals. You work out, you complete 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes in the morning, or 45 minutes indoors, 45 minutes outdoors. So it has to be indoors or outdoors for a total of 2. Drink a gallon of water a day, and then read 10 pages of a nonfiction self help book every day and take a progress picture every single day. Now,
Hmm.
those are their rules. Now, if you miss anything on that checklist in a day, you have to start over, right?
Oh,
So if you
wow.
make it to day 60 and you have, a headache and a neck ache and a backache, and you miss half of the workouts or whatever's there, the next day you go back to day one.
Your day one. So I
Yeah.
guess that's why that's the hard challenge.
Yes, 75 hard. And so what I propose is a softer version of that, which is follow a dietary protocol that you can commit to, right? So if you're doing carnivore and you just say, well, I'm going to commit to cutting out cheese because dairy, whatever you want to do, then you just commit to that, whatever
Okay.
you want to do. So you've created this for yourself. And then the second is move your body for 5 minutes a day, any activity, whether it's marching in place, sitting in a chair, doing arm raises, touching your toes from your chair, whatever it is that you can do for 5 minutes once a day. Drink water, enough water to where your urine is not like dark yellow, but it's just
Okay.
the right color yellow, because
Pale.
the dark yellow says that you're dehydrated. So only you would know how much. There's not a specific amount. So number 4 would be read, write, or connect with someone 3 minutes every day. So you could read for 3 minutes. You could practice gratitude for 3 minutes, or you could text someone, reach out on social media, whatever you want to do for 3 minutes a day, right? And then take a progress photo on day 1 and day 30. So it's pretty much the same outline, but on a more realistic level. And you can turn it up or turn it down according to what your needs are and still meet your goals. And we can
That's
all do it as a
amazing.
group challenge. So
I'm
do you
glad
think we can roll with this?
Yes, I'm
Like
glad
September the 1st on my birthday, girl?
Yes. I'm glad it's not your birthday today, right?
No, honey, September the 1st.
That's right, September 1st. Okay. I'm glad that you outlined what his rules are, because those can be intimidating for somebody like me who's not used to having a fitness routine. But the modified version that you have is so doable.
Yes.
And it's a good place to start if you're not fit.
Right.
So yeah, that's
But
great.
not only that, depending on where you're at, you can still use those same outlines to make a commitment to yourself. Instead of 5 minutes, you might be at 10 minutes a day of movement. And instead of 60 ounces of water, like you've been for, 30 months, maybe you'll try 64 ounces. So you can still do the gauge, right? And make your own progress. And I use this all the time with the people that I work with. Everything is a win from day 1.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I think that's going to resonate with people in the group on the Healing Humanity Life site. Because, I mean, as you can see, we've had a couple Zoom meetings, we're just kind of getting going with some Zoom meetings, and we have a variety of ages of people. And I think that when you're trying to run a fitness group, that's something that anybody can adapt it to their level of fitness.
Right on.
Yeah. And the goal is to improve, right?
Start somewhere.
I love your energy. Oh my gosh.
That's
awesome.
Thank you.
Good. Well, listen, I'm going to we've been going for a little over an hour now.
Yes.
I want to promote your YouTube channel too. But for anyone who's now I interviewed Rose on my channel. So if you want to hear, and of course you've got your channel, if you want to hear her story and see my interview, go to my channel under the live section. I can post the link too in the description. And absolutely loved hearing your story. And you were on Good Morning America twice.
Yes.
So we played a clip during the interview of one of the times you were on Good Morning America, and you're also in their book, right?
Yeah.
That they did. And I love your story because you looked like a weight loss success, but you still didn't get the mental health things worked out until you went carnivore.
Absolutely.
Wonderful story about some of the benefits of carnivore beyond weight loss, because they considered you a success story.
And I was still spiraling, still counting calories, still eating sugar, still being obsessed, mentally obsessed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So take a look at the interview. You want to share what your channel is?
Rose AJ Coates, just my name, Rose AJ. You can Google it or put it in YouTube. It'll come up.
Coates. Coates, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. I will also get your channel and I'll put it in a link as well.
All right. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah,
Miss Lynn.
So
Lynn.
Yes. Lynn. I swear, Lindy's going to be laughing. She is going to laugh.
Okay. All right, love. Thank you so
much.
I love you. I love you too, girlfriend. Okay.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're going to call it